Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
Most patients' cancers, especially in the advanced setting, we're doing a whole DNA profile of each tumor so that we know exactly what's wrong with it and can pinpoint certain types of treatments to give them. Oncology has now become a precision medicine field in that DNA and abnormalities in the cancer cells or DNA abnormalities that the patient holds that's hereditary really has become in the forefront of where we try to target therapy. Sounds good.
Welcome, everybody, to the Follow Brand Podcast. I don't always, and I say this a lot on my show, I don't always get to go, but I'm telling you guys, I have not been to Long Island in New York in so long. I'm craving some pizza right now, actually. She is such a great person. I mean, how many people do you actually meet? Like, that's a doctor, that's a physician that has a great personality. That's Dr. Tiffany. She has just a fantastic personality. I love talking to her. I'm going to bring her up. We're going to talk to you about some of the things that she's been doing the last 20, 25 years in this space and why she feels so strong about this upcoming conference. So, Dr. Tiffany, you like to introduce yourself?
Well, I don't know that I can do better than what you just did. Wow. Well, thank you very much. So I'm Dr. Tiffany Trostle-Sandoval, and I am a medical oncologist. I worked at Memorial Sloan Kettering for 25 years. I subspecialize in breast and gynecological cancer. Due to some of my own health-related issues, I have now decided to branch out on my own, and I have started a new company called Winning the Cancer Journey. Very
Hey,
excited to be here.
winning the cancer journey. Just kind of just picture that, especially if you're recently diagnosed with something like that. You go like, man, this is a journey, this is a challenge, this is something I've got to get on top of and really, to do what I need to do to make this the best outcome possible. Now, you've got 25 years in this space. You've seen a lot of change. And before we go into just the conference of itself, talk to us about, from your lens, 25 years, you've made it now a little pivot in your life. What have you seen that's changing in the oncology space that you like, and some of the things maybe not so much?
Hmm. I could do a whole section on that. So some of the things that are very, very exciting, and I'm not sure if we're going to get into this a little bit more later, but oncology has now become a precision medicine field in that DNA and abnormalities in the cancer cells or DNA abnormalities that the patient holds that's hereditary really has become in the forefront of where we try to target therapy. So back when I started, we didn't have a lot of targeted therapies, and it was really chemotherapy or hormone therapy that we were utilizing. Um, Herceptin came up along the time while I was in practice, and that was a very big deal, obviously, for certain types of breast cancers, and is now utilized in multiple types of cancers. But now we're eons past that. In fact, in most patients' cancers, especially in the advanced setting, we're doing a whole DNA profile of each tumor so that we know exactly what's wrong with it and can pinpoint certain types of treatments to give them. The role of immunology and the role of immunotherapy is so exciting. Never did I think or believe 20 years ago that there would be such a way to treat and potentially cure certain cancers, even when they're metastatic. I have numerous patients that had certain types of uterine cancer, for example, that received immunotherapy that were sent to me on hospice and are now thriving and living a cancer-free life. And I, it's something that we could never have even fathomed 20 years ago. In terms of what I don't like, let's see. I don't like how medicine has become more corporate. I feel that the majority of physicians now, in order to survive, we're all working for big corporations and we're working for big hospital systems. And it's really makes it difficult to practice medicine the way you really want to practice medicine. And you're constrained, unfortunately, because of insurance and getting reimbursed and RVUs, which are things that they look at, how productive you are, constrains how you can actually have time even to spend with the patient. Um, and then I guess my last one, since I gave you two good, I'll give you two bad. The other one that I think is ruining medicine is EMRs, electronic medical records. They are the bane of every physician's existence. And every day you would wake up and there would be another task that you needed to do or perform on the computer for patient care. And, it ranged from putting chemotherapy orders in to the billing component to every single test that you wanted ordered on entering it on the computer. And then you go home at night and spend hours and hours writing, typing on the computer to, create the patient's charts that were of complexity enough that you would get adequately reimbursed by insurance companies. So none of that is what you went to medical school for, I promise you.
I am so glad you brought that up because
Yeah.
I've been in technology 25 years. I've been in the healthcare, meaning the health tech space, for probably the last 7 of those years. And what you said, so I want our community to really understand that You went to school to practice medicine, to cure human beings, not to be a data entry clerk. And we've got to stop that. And I know why. Some of that I know why they did it, 10 plus years ago when they passed, meaningful use, and they needed to get this in. And there's a lot of government grants out there. But I think they were just doing, just in time training on a lot of these systems. But we're starting to get to the level now where you can do some automation with the just the transference of data into the system, where you don't have to do 1 hour of treatment and then 2 hours of data entry on what you're doing. That is just not, and I can understand what you're saying. Like that is it's a buzzkill, right? It's like, you don't want to be sitting there doing that. But I love how you're talking about these new treatments and these new therapies that could have been pretty much game over, I don't know, a decade ago or something to that effect. And now you're getting successful, positive outcomes. That's a game changer. That's something to get you out of bed at night. That is wonderful. Talk to us a little bit about, so we're not telling you what to say. You're telling us what you would like to say. That's a key difference. I want to tune into your passion, what you're excited about, what you want to get across to people, not just because there'll be oncologists there, people in your profession will be there. There'll be people on all sides of the ball. There'll be cancer survivors there. People have gone through the process and come out on the other side. And you want to hear about these things. On possibly could be people who are newly diagnosed and they have no idea what this journey is going to be about. If they can get some level of comfort, at least some knowledge, some intelligence of what is going to happen along this road. Now I want to ask you this, because I'm very excited about this. I'm very curious about it. Winning the cancer journey. You kind of like just broke free and went out there, and you're being an author, you're being a speaker. Talk to us more about that.
Yeah, so this has been something that has been brewing in my mind for years. And I think a lot of it stemmed from the fact that patients and their caregivers need much more support than we can provide in our 20-minute consultations in the clinic. And there's so much more to oncology care than just picking a chemotherapy to give a patient. And I can't promise to cure everybody. That would be, I'd be lying. I'd be leading falsehoods. But I can help making sure that the pathway from A to Z is as smooth, comfortable, and positive as it can be, right? And so, my theory is that patients need to be educated and they need to understand what they're doing. So it takes away a lot of the anxiety and the fear. It also helps you to participate better in your own care with your physician. If you understand the options and the treatments and the recommendations, it's much easier to have a conversation about them. And I found that a lot of people also just didn't know how to help the patient. And so I spent a lot of time with my patients, family members, caregivers, what have you, helping them help the patient. And that whole aspect of care actually isn't really taught anywhere. And so a lot of this just came out of my own experience and my own practice of, what do you do when your sister has cancer? What can you do to help her? How can you help her? What is useful to them? And that sort of thing. I, wanted to let patients evaluate my recommendations, but with the eye of understanding. So my book, which is due to be published in about 2 months, is called Winning the Cancer Journey. I like to keep it consistent. So, brand recognition is actually a walk through a patient from the day that they get something wrong. Somebody tells them that there's something wrong and they have to go get testing, to a biopsy, to how to read the pathology report, to the different types of treatment, to the preparation work, all the way through treatment, all the way to survivorhood, and from a doctor's perspective. But it's written on a patient level. So it's really a culmination of what I did every day for the last 25 years. And one of the things that brought me the idea that this needed to be done was that I was already doing it for so many people. I was doing it for my patients, of course, but I was also doing it for friends and family. Anybody who knew somebody that knew me that had cancer, I got that phone call. And so what do they need to do? Okay, here are the next steps. Here's what I recommend you do. This is who you should call. This is, buy this type of notebook, buy this kind of water bottle. And just sort of, the really basic educational things that once you get a diagnosis of cancer, you can't even think straight half the time. And so somebody just needs to break it down for you, walk you through it, and help make it easier for you. So that's what I
That
do.
is
The future, a lot of people say the future is artificial intelligence, right? But I say the future is not artificial intelligence. The future is quantum artificial intelligence. I'm an immuno-oncologist by training, turned futurist, and now working in the venture capital area.
And it was a great job to have because I could travel all around the country and talk to physicians in all walks of life, all specialties, everything, and be able to hear about their hopes and their dreams and their frustrations and their burnout and their joy. That when doctors link arms for the benefit of patients, we are an incredibly powerful voice.
a lot to unpack there, because what
Yeah.
you said is so important. I know if I, find myself not feeling so well, going to the doctor, getting a diagnosis, getting a test back, and getting that message, that understanding, hey, you have the big C, I'd be like, of course, yeah, you don't hear anything else but those
Nope.
last 4 or 5 words you just said, probably for the next
Yep.
4 or 5 weeks. You're like, well, what?
Yeah.
I think my question comes to mind for me is like, well, what we talked, what stage? My knowledge of cancer is very little. So I'm like, all right, is there stage 1, stage 2? I don't even know what these stages really mean, but I know 4 is kind of bad. So I'm like, all right, what are we talking about here? And then you got to go through that whole process. So you're not only a physician, you can also look at yourself as a mental health counselor, because you're telling someone that, you have a life-threatening situation.
Mhm.
And I'm going to help walk you through this. And I know in today's world, there's a lot of people like, first thing I'm going to Google all this information, and I'm going to self-diagnose myself, and I'm going
Don't
to
do that.
figure all this out. And I'm going to
Don't
go
make
on
it
these
harder.
special diets. I'm going to go on this crazy journey before I come back. So help us, talk to me as if I were this new patient of yours.
Ooh. Usually the first thing that we need to do is to get the facts. We need to know what cancer is it, where did it start, and then get you on the pathway to getting that evaluated and then to start treatment, right? And so the first thing that needs to be done when somebody calls me, for example, and says, I have a CAT scan and there's a spot in my lung and they think it's cancer. Okay. So there's, different levels of tests that need to be done so you can stage the cancer, so you know where else it has spread. You need to get a tissue diagnosis, so you need a biopsy, and that needs to be arranged. The pathology needs to be interpreted. And then they need to be referred to particular specialists, because although depending on where you are in the country, there are oncologists that treat everything because it's not a population dense area. And then you move into cities like New York, for example, or Houston, and you have a lot of medical centers there. And then the doctors become much more subspecialized. So I subspecialized in breast and gynecological cancers at MSK. But you might not find that in Idaho. And so, but you need to get to a physician that can then take over your care. And so, it's not too hard to find a doctor. It's always best if you can get a personal recommendation, obviously, or a recommendation from one of your physicians that you already trust. And if you don't hit it off with your doctor, or if you don't feel that the personality or the way the office runs or the color or the walls, I don't know what I've heard everything. If it doesn't mesh, then you have to go get another opinion. I do like second opinions as well, but you have to be wary of when you do that, because you may end up with two different opinions, and then you're left trying to figure out which is the right one. And then you may be seeking a third opinion, and now you're running around and you're not treating your cancer because you're getting all these opinions. So I like second opinions in theory. If the treatment recommendation doesn't seem to make sense to you, obviously you should. But, I always warn people, you don't want to be putting off life potentially saving treatment while you're shopping for doctors. So that's a very tricky situation. Which is why, having somebody like me on board as a concierge to sort of help you, guide you, listen, redirect you if necessary, because I've done this all already. And so I think that that's the type of service also that I would provide, right? To be the sounding board. I call it like the doc in your pocket, right? The doc. So when you're not sure, you can call me, and then I go over it with you and help clarify everything.
This is important information. This is so important. I want to step back into the world of just the world that you're in, medical oncology, not just treating the patient. That's one thing, the physician to patient experience. And you alluded to a little earlier, is that physician to, whether it's a corporation, the hospital system, and then pharma and some other things. Talk to us about the good of that, and again, also the challenges that it poses when your primary goal is to help the patient.
Okay. I think what you're asking me is, how does the influence of insurance and pharma affect how I care for the patient?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's a big topic also. So pharma is great because they get the drugs and they bring the drugs to you, usually on clinical trials. And especially when you work for a big academic institution, you run many, many clinical trials. But limitations are that not every hospital runs every clinical trial. And so there might be a great drug at that hospital on trial, but we don't have that one. We have this one. So there's a little bit of that. It also will affect our ability to, what we can offer to patients, obviously, as well. If it's not on formulary, or if it's not being covered by medical insurance, then it's harder to get the drug for a patient. We run into that all the time. I was lucky that I was at an institution where we had quite good clout, and so usually could negotiate the medications that we wanted. That was all done way above my pay grade, but the insurance companies really can affect how you can treat a patient, and that's unfair, and it's unsettling. In most recent times, I'm remembering, immunotherapy for certain types of uterine cancer, and you could have it if you had X and Y, but you couldn't have it if you had A and B in your cancer or whatever. And then the insurance companies are not necessarily doctors that are reviewing these requests for the medications, because you had to get prior authorization, and they would just reject everything straight off the bat. And then you'd spend weeks chasing, trying to get them to reverse that decision. And the decision was made on a faulty premise in the first place, because they didn't really read the application, or somebody on our end filled out the application wrong and they put down A and B instead of X and Y, and then the insurance company rejected and like, no, that was wrong, can we try again? And that, weeks trying to get that done again. So that's hard, because all of these targeted therapies that I'm speaking of, and the immunotherapy, unless you're on a clinical trial and the drug company is paying for those particular drugs, they have to go through your insurance company, and they are high ticket prices. And so it's a lot of work on the physician side, on the office staff side, to get these drugs pre-authorized in many times. So that really does affect our ability to treat.
Field that I'm in right now, which is digital pathology, it's an emerging field. And only in 2017, US FDA approved using these digital scanners for primary diagnosis. And that is when people started digitizing the slides on a very large scale. Similarly, in the field of cancer as well, it is not just these features, but it is the spatial arrangement of those features which matters a lot in diagnosing, the cancer type.
I have my PhD in biomedical informatics, and I tend to focus and get really passionate around genomics, particularly when we talk about genomics for precision health, genomics for community and population health, so on and so forth, and some of the disparities and differences that manifest themselves in the human body based on your heredity, your ethnicity, your environmental impact and stimulus that's coming from outside of your control, and how that impacts the way you ingest medicine, the way your body takes in that medicine and delivers it throughout your cells. Even though the drug is the same, the dosage is the same, the age, weight, blood pressure, all of these other vital signs may be the same, but the drug may manifest itself differently between these two demographics, just simply based on the differences in their genetic history and their genomes.
And we've all heard those stories for a lot of different things. I don't understand how pricing is done, how access is done. So that you're talking about affordability, accessibility, location, what's best for you. I hear that a lot. Well, you know what? This is working. This treatment is working very, very well, but how do you get access to it? And we're talking about you could be a life-threatening situation, so you want to get that, the best treatment for you in the best possible way, and you want a decision to be made, the best decision to be made, and those outside influences can definitely be detrimental. I'm going to change the conversation just a little bit because we alluded to something earlier around EMR, which is electronic medical records. It's technology. And technology is now definitely being utilized in different ways in healthcare settings than it ever was before. We had the big craze with telehealth. Everybody understands what that is. Good, bad, or indifferent during the COVID time made sense to do. But now we're getting into where artificial intelligence is actually doing some kind of analysis or predictive analysis that never was done before, good or bad, but it can do things faster, just like a calculator can calculate numbers a lot quicker than trying to do it in your head. How do you feel about these changes that potentially could be good for you, it makes things a lot quicker, you can get information quicker, or do you see it as something that could be detrimental?
Well, I guess it depends on how you're using it. I personally wasn't using very much AI, or at least I wasn't aware of it. It seems to be creeping in everywhere, and you don't even realize what's going on. It's on your Google searches already. Comes up at the top of the box, and that's actually AI. I find it interesting, but I right now I still see quite a few limitations. So, for example, if I were to look up what is the standard of care first line therapy for ovarian cancer, it might get it right. It might not. It might pull in, some of the references that may be helpful or might not be exactly on the mark. I'm not sure that it's been utilized enough in this space that I trust it completely. I would actually much rather do a PubMed search than a ChatGPT search on medical topics, right? And have to read through articles myself and decide which are the important articles to base my decision on. So if you feed all of that information into ChatGPT, like use this article by this author and use this, this set of data to come up with your diagnosis and your recommendations, sure, I think it would increase the likelihood that it's accurate, but now I'm already doing half the work because you have to prompt it properly, right? Yeah. I think that, I see it being potentially helpful in the space where people are calling in with specific symptoms or side effects, and you could potentially have a chat bot that's answering, what should you do if you are constipated, and have sort of like an algorithm that they work through, and like they can, instead of taking, message will say that they're constipated, but once you get on the phone with them, you realize that, well, they're not eating either, and they haven't had anything to drink in 2 days. And so I think that, if the person types in, I have constipation, and the chat box answers it, you've missed a huge opportunity to actually help the patient with what else or what was really wrong. Maybe they were constipated because they weren't drinking for 2 days. And, there's a whole bunch of things that go through it that I haven't seen yet AI be able to replace the thought process of a human being taking care of another human being. But, I'm sure it's coming. I just
There's
haven't
some
seen
things
it.
that are happening.
I'm a technology strategist, and what that means is I sit with businesses, I try to understand where they want to go, how they want to get there and figure out how we use technology to get the business there. So my role is actually very simple. It sounds complicated, but it's very simple. I really believe that you have to find your purpose in technology. And no matter what you do, and this could be true for every function, technology, accounting, or whatever have you, right? You have to find your purpose. And that can be hard today in technology because there's so many different things you can do. There's software delivery, cybersecurity, there's virtual reality, there's IoT. I mean, the options are endless.
I tend to operate more in the vein of what are we doing as an enterprise, as an organization around our goals and our strategy, taking that first, and then looking more broadly across that stack to say, okay, where do we have gaps in the technologies that exist today? But more importantly, where do we have gaps in what we seek to achieve where technology is not going to be as efficient or as adequate as is necessary to meet those targets? So passionate about this space. And again, you know, I've had the great fortune to have had some wonderful mentors and leaders in my time that I've learned so very much from. And I really seek to do the same and to give that back. I love mentoring and seeing people grow. Building those high performing teams is where I really find my greatest value and contribution.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaw, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaw explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
Happening, they call causal AI or AGI, which is kind of a generative intelligence. More than just a chatbot is a certain type of AI.
Right.
You talked about a little bit more with precision medicine. Anytime you got to do large computations in a very short period of time, it can be very influential. But you bring up another good point. There are known and then there are unknown variables. And what a machine will do, it'll take the known and do probably very well with that, but it's not considering the unknown for the most part, what has not been said. And because that is not there, it's going to come out with a different result that as opposed to something else. But I am of the ilk of human to AI to human type interactions. Not, you don't take the human outside of the equation ever. You still have AI that can get you information that you can then make a decision on or not make a decision on, depending on what it is, and then kind of move forward. The whole point, because I've been in technology for a long time, I feel technology can do two things really, really well that you can actually trust. Number one is that it's fast. So if you need something to be done very quickly, that's automated. It's always something that happens. It's not a lot of intangibles there. It's very, very good. So speed is awesome that they can do that. And then communication can give you various types of communication that you couldn't do and otherwise. So you have text, you have video, you have now, what we're doing right now, video conferencing. You can do all these things very, very quickly, very, very well, even in the imagery world, right? If you need to, when you look at a problem, business problem, right, even a healthcare problem, you said, hey, if I need something to be done very quickly, maybe I can start looking at technology. Or if I need something that needs to be communicated very quickly again, maybe I can look at technology. When you allude to like the EMR, that's just a intake. It's more of a you call like almost a CRM type tool that they take, and then they can do other things with billing and other stuff, but it has to get the information, you have to input it. So it's not doing anything automated. So the communication is very slow because you're the one that's communicating to it to bring the information in, and it
I'm a good
slows you
typist.
down. Yeah, you're a typist, right? So everything I just said, like, hey, Grant, it's slowing me down and it's not communicating very effectively. So that's a poor use of the technology that now is starting to get better than what it was. But those are the things I really talk about. So when you think like, hey, how can I get records very quickly? Or I want to know if this person was treated at MKC or at my facility, but were they also treated in Houston, for instance? How quickly can I get that information? That's what they're kind of working on now. Quickness of information, speed of light in that aspect. So then you can make an intelligent decision. Because I personally would want a 25-year veteran in the oncology space giving me information about my situation that I can understand than getting a lightning quick answer out of a chat bot. And then I'm sitting there like, which one am I really going to trust here? So there's got to be some trust and some credibility that goes along with it. Before I let you go, I want to give you the mic because this is so important because yes, you're an author. Yes, you're a keynote speaker. Yes, you're a 20-year veteran in oncology. I want to know your why. Why did you get into this space? And what do you feel the space is going to go through over the next maybe 10 or 20 years? And frame it like this. If you would have talked to an earlier oncologist that's coming into the space, maybe they've got 2-3 years experience, what would you say to that person?
So I got into oncology because I really wanted to help people. I loved being a doctor. I loved the molecular biology behind it. That was my major at Princeton, and then I went to medical school, and I loved cancer because I thought it was so fascinating and interesting on a scientific level, medical level as well. And I love caring for oncology patients because they really need my help, and I really can help them. There are some fields of medicine where you don't really feel like you're making a difference, but oncology, you really do. And I had some very, heartfelt patients that, were almost like family, not to me, not really, but I mean, you know what I'm saying, like very close to me. And still I have, many of them are still, following me at this point. I think it's very important to remember as you're progressing through the years and through the technology and through the administration and everything, to just always try and remember why you're there. Nobody goes into oncology to be a billionaire. You go into oncology because it's where your heart and your passion is, and caring for people and the love of the science and medicine. And so it's, in terms of preventing burnout, which is so real these days, it's really important to always, at the end of the day, remember all the things that you did and you did well. Because unfortunately, especially in corporate medicine, you only hear about what you did wrong. They don't, there's never any celebration of the patient was pregnant and you got her through chemotherapy and she comes back for a follow-up visit with the baby that got chemotherapy while she had breast cancer while she was pregnant with that baby. Or the woman who got cancer right before she was supposed to get married and we gave her chemo, and then she got married and she went on her honeymoon and she came back and then she had surgery, and and she's living her life and she's feeling well. Or there's endless stories. But at the end of the day, it's hard when you're tired at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and you're dripping home, and all you can think about is all of the work you still need to do. But it's so important to every day take a journal and write down 2 or 3 things that made you smile today, or that brought warmth to your heart about what you do. And I think, just again, always bringing it back to the center and remembering why you're there and what you're fighting for is it helps to get through all of the rest of the bureaucracy and the difficult parts about the business side of being a doctor.
Man, it's well said. Heartfelt words from Dr. Tiffany. This has been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I know you got a book coming out. You said it's going to come out in a couple months, which probably would put us now. It would probably be in the November timeframe. Is that about right?
I have a feeling we're probably not going to launch until January. I might put it out earlier as a Kindle version, but I don't think the hardcover will come out until January.
Well, we're going to be looking for that. I know it'll be massively available, Barnes and Noble,
Sure.
all your different outlets, Amazon, that type of thing. If somebody does need to get in contact with you, because it's very important information that you're putting out there, what is the best possible way?
So I'm on Facebook, and you can look up my name. You can find me on Facebook, Tiffany Trostle-Sandoval. I have a private group that's called Winning the Cancer Journey that you can search for. You have to answer questions to get into it. It's for cancer patients and their caregivers. And I have a website. Guess what it's called?
Winning the Cancer Journey?
www.winningthecancerjourney. And there's a contact form that's in there as well. And so you can fill that out and that comes straight to my email. So anything I can do to help anyone, I'd be honored. I do have an online course that will be launching in the fall as well. And I hope to have many of our participants join me on that.
Thank you so much for being part of this program. And your entire audience can tune into all the episodes of Follow the Brand at 5-Star BDM. That is the number 5-Star, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Take care, Grant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the Follow the Brand TV show, where Grant McGaw unlocks the secrets of personal branding, business growth, and leadership with today's top industry leaders. Dive into a world of dynamic conversations and insightful exchanges that redefine success. Picture this: industry leaders and business professionals speaking on stage, interacting on video calls, and engaging in behind-the-scenes podcast setups. Grant McGaw brings together the brightest minds, creating a space where laughter and deep conversations coexist.
Man, who's your favorite podcaster? Man, Grant, man. I love Grant's podcast. Well, who's Grant? I'm going to send you the link. I love
the interview. I've done a lot of these, and this is a great one. It's always great to talk to people who know what they're doing, and it's clear you're a great host, and you've done this many times before.
I feel great that we're having this conversation here. Met a new person in business who I previously didn't know.
It was an amazing podcast. Grant is an amazing interviewer. I learned a lot.
I really enjoyed this. Great questions, great talk track. Super appreciate you having me on. It's been a very fun episode to talk about a lot of things that I don't always get to dive into. So this has been a fantastic conversation.
I wouldn't be where I am here today, of course, not on this stage, however, not in my current business projection and my current business model without working with you.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive in. Today we're tackling something super relevant, especially if you're in the healthcare field, building a standout online presence.
It's not just important, it's essential. Think about it. In today's world, the patient journey often starts online.
Right. It's like gone are the days of flipping through those giant yellow pages. Now it's all about what pops up first when you search best cardiologist near me.
Exactly. You want to be that top result. And having a strong online presence is how you achieve that.
So where do we even begin? Is it all about that fancy website?
A website is definitely key, but it's not about being fancy, it's about being strategic.
Okay, strategic, I like that. So walk us through it.
The research we've looked at points to a few key things. You need a user-friendly website builder. Some popular options are Squarespace and Webflow. Even if you're not super tech savvy, these platforms make it pretty straightforward.
I was just about to say, website design is not my forte. Thankfully, there are tools for that.
Right. And then, within the website itself, focus on the essentials. A welcoming homepage, keep it clean and inviting. Then, a strong About Me section. This is where you showcase your credentials, your approach to patient care.
But About Me, that's where I always go first. Got to get a feel for the doctor as a person, you know?
Definitely. And don't forget about a clear outline of your services. What can patients expect? Lay it all out there.
Makes sense. And what about resources for patients? I feel like that's become super important.
Absolutely. A dedicated section for patient resources is crucial. Think downloadable forms, links to credible health websites, maybe even a glossary of common medical terms related to your specialty.
So it's about making their lives easier and feeling empowered, even before stepping into the office. I like that a lot.
Exactly.
Now, you know me, I always got to check out the blog section. It's like getting a sneak peek into the doctor's brain. Do you think that really matters to patients?
Oh, yeah. More than you might think. A regularly updated blog can be a powerful tool. It establishes your expertise, shows you're up to date on the latest advancements, and helps answer common patient questions.
But keeping up with a blog, that's a whole other job. Any tips?
Creating an editorial calendar can be a game changer. Maybe focus on answering the top 3 most frequently asked questions you get about your specialty.
It's like content marketing, but for doctors. So interesting.
It is. And don't forget about website analytics. This data can tell you what's resonating with your audience, what pages they're visiting most.
Oh, that's smart. Using data to see what's working. It's like tailoring the website to better serve potential patients.
Precisely. It's all about creating that digital storefront.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So, if our listeners only remember one thing from our deep dive today, what would it be? What's the big takeaway?
That your website is your digital handshake. It's often the first impression you make on potential patients. Make it a good one. Investing in a professional logo or banner can go a long way.
I'm all about that first impression.
And for those who might be feeling overwhelmed, there are resources out there to help. One company that comes to mind is 5 Star BDM. They specialize in helping businesses, including healthcare practices, build a stellar online presence.
A good reminder that you don't have to navigate this alone. All right, everyone, as you're thinking about your own online presence, here's something to ponder. If you were a patient looking for a healthcare provider, what would you want to see? Until next time.
Hello, leaders and visionaries. Are we ready to exceed our ambitious goals for 2024? At 5 Star BDM, we're your strategic partners, not just futurists. To the trailblazers in business development, healthcare, and IT, you need a path to realize your vision for growth. Our tailored consulting services are your stepping stones to success. We empower you to build brands, deliver results, and captivate audiences. In healthcare and IT, innovation is progress. At 5 Star BDM, we ensure your operations beat with precision, efficiency, and care. Join those who shape the future. Connect with us today. Let's set the stage for a defining quarter. With 5 Star BDM, it's not just business development, it's a beacon of excellence.
exciting time to be in digital marketing with the advent, the explosion of generative AI chatbots. They're better known as ChatGPT. There's Bard, there's Claude, there's all kinds of this new one came out called Gemini. There's so many different tools that really what it comes down to is that it's made my business more precise. I can do things more quicker, I would say, and to elevate my brand messaging to a level that allows me to be as creative as possible. Digital market economy is taking the world by storm, probably over the last decade or so, but is really escalating now in the advent of AI because it is a game changer for a lot of businesses. It's not just all the big boys that can play in this space because of cloud computing, because of mobile computing, and now you have these tools at your disposal. You've got a laptop, you've got a computer, you can now digitize yourself to a level and get your message out there, and that equates to business. Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius is coming. Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.